Well, you have a certain brutal grace with that thing, but when the cameras, the parts that we see, it makes it look very easy, but you said there's probably a pretty sizable blooper reel of you with that thing too, right?
Not only that, like, the knife that I wear is really heavy, and especially first and second season, I had this belt loop, or belt buckle, that wouldn't really work, so I would run like from there to there, my pants would fall to my ankles. The scene where we come from the train tracks in season 2, I think.
Season 1 was the train tracks?
Yeah, season 1, I think. But we're running and I'm holding up my pants.
That's the best. Well, the props too are kind of funny. There's a scene the scene I was talking about that you're going to see tomorrow night. There's a moment where Gerald uses the crossbow to crush a walker's head. And we had a puppet head, and I was down below off frame, and you hit it so it broke the crossbow. And of course, the director never yelled cut; they just kept rolling. So I was literally right underneath a 5-gallon blood pump, and they just kept spewing blood, and it kept pouring and pouring and pouring. So there's a really funny picture of me literally red from head to toe. But I have a great shot of Norman with the crossbow smashing this walker head, and the back of the crossbow just breaking off.
Yeah, and then I steal those crossbows at the end of every season. Hanging on my wall. I still got in the vest with the wings on it, so...
Do you guys have any props? Do you have props from the VCAT?
Most of my stuff is, like, destroyed by the end of the season, so I don't know. I don't have cool stuff to keep. What do I have to keep?
I'm just curious, because... No, I
freaking crossbow, dude. I have, like,
I do. I have a couple of crossbows. I have a couple of vests.
I have a ear necklace, actually, which I promise I'll give to him.
Right? Not like that, like he's promised, he goes, I got it for you, and then the next day he's on Talking Dead, and he's like, Chris, I brought you the original. No, you gave it to me. And then you lied to one of us. Better
I directed 3 episodes this season, and the first one I directed was the episode where right after Lori dies and Rick starts to go crazy, and there's the great scene where he pulls the bullet out of the ground and looks at it. And I keep a prop from each of the shows that I direct, so that I have the bullet that Rick finds that was the bullet that killed Lori. But by the way, you guys do people applauded when she died? Commentary when we watch an episode someday. What, do you have any problems?
Would ours be like R. Kelly out of the closet?
She'd be like, oh, remember when she stuck to the floor because of all the blood? And that was a hard scene for you when we shot it.
Yeah, and I thought you were going to say that it was hard because we covered the baby in yogurt and jam. The baby, the afterbirth, because we had a real baby for half of that scene, and the afterbirth of the baby had to be natural food, and so it was Greek yogurt and raspberry jam and really, really tasty things.
I'm trying to eat the baby between takes.
So yeah, it was quite a contrast between the tragedy of the scene and the deliciousness of the baby. And then, Laura's lying in red sugar syrup, so she was also very tasty. It was a great day.
Well, last season was so farm-centric, and this year you've got Woodbury, you've got the prison, and other little sojourns out and about. I mean, how has shooting this season compared to the others as far as like just sort of the nuts and bolts of working at location? Is this a big $1.5 million set or something for the episode?
The most exciting thing was we had air conditioning. Because the first 2 seasons, season 1 we were outside Atlanta, season 2 we were on Herschel's farm, and there were no sets. It was all practical locations. So there were ticks, and there were chiggers, and there were bugs, and there was cows. So the first day that we went and shot in the prison, what?
story? Wait, what? What?
You have a tick story?
Oh, a tick story? Yeah.
There we go.
Well, I mean, I found a tick on my penis.
Wait, is it still there?
It's made a nice home for itself.
Did we call you out on CNN as soon as it happened? Do you remember that?
Yeah, you guys are so cool. It was a shock. I came home to take a shower. We all do tick checks, but I didn't think that one would try to go down there. And one did, and it decided to be the biggest one. And it was at the end of the nubbin.
You pulled me aside and said, I have a tickle on my pickle.
The best part about it is that when I was, after I, took it off, killed it, cried, checked the internet to see if I had, AIDS or something, just freaked out. I took a shower, and I just started laughing hysterically because I was like, I'm so glad it happened to me. Or it was either me or John Bernthal, because nobody else would have told anyone else. They would have taken that to their grave. But for me, I was like, I cannot wait to tell every single person tomorrow on set. And then every single person tomorrow on set turned into CNN. And Comic-Con. And then now Milwaukee.
Didn't you enact revenge on that tick when you found it?
Oh yeah, I just burned it. Very angrily, but I'm still waiting to see if I have powers. It's like a sleepy boy. Sleep tight man. Neurological disorder guy.
Well, let's talk about what are some of the stranger injuries or moments, Lauren? I mean, I'm sure you've had maybe not the tick situation.
I had a bit of a tick situation, but it wasn't on a place. But I did. It was actually after Stephen's incident. Everyone got a little bit more paranoid about ticks, and we were shooting a scene. I was all the way up at the farmhouse, and the camera crew was all the way down at the barn. It was when I was running to tell you, "Don't look in the barn, too late." And I thought, oh god, this gives me a good minute to take a check myself, not knowing that the camera that was by the barn was on a really, really long lens, so it could see all the way where I was. So I was checking really thoroughly, and then hear action, run all the way down there, run up the thing. You weren't supposed to see that, and then come down, and everyone was like, "Did you find it?" It was thorough checking.
What about you, Lauren?
I mean, they find ticks on me because I just take stuff off. I'd that's the hair and makeup going, ew, look, there's one there. But I've had stitches across my forehead. I gave myself a black eye.
You got yourself a black eye with a crossbow, right?
Yeah, I got myself with my crossbow.
You know it's dangerous. The Michonne's sword, because every once in a while she has it on. She has the sheath. She has it across her back, and she spins around quickly sometimes. And I've got hit in the nuts about 6 times. Hey, tonight I have a question. She was yes. Oh. Oh, good. But listen, it's always, our set is very safe, but we have to be cautious because of all the action stuff. When we shot in season 1, when I was eating the deer, which was that was Daryl's first scene. They find a walker eating a deer, and everybody around the camp gets around and starts pounding on the walker and chops its head off. And we had a taxidermy deer, and we had hollowed it out and put a little mechanism inside it. So while I was eating it, and I was making the legs move. And Bernthal had a gun that had a piece of foam on the butt, and Jeff DeMont had a rubber shovel and all the stuff.
I had a bat.
The first take, you had a bat. Everybody had rubber stuff, but it's still, they're pounding on you, and that's a pretty intense scene. And after the first take, the little piece of rubber on the butt of the gun came off. So I was trying to stay in character, and roll out of the way. And then, of course, Jeff DeMont, who's the nicest guy on the planet, comes up with a big rubber shovel and goes, well, bam, right in my head. And then they all cut, he's like, I'm really sorry about that, Greg. And the director goes, that was great, let's do it again. And he's like, well, bam!
I remember when I first started to get to know Melissa, I handed the pickaxe and she sticks it through her husband's head, right? But I kept going to the Gore, I was going to go, put more guts and blood on the end of it. So when I handed it to her, it was getting grosser and grosser, and I was just sort of fucking with her just to see what she would do. And then the last take, she yanks it out of my hand because I'm fucking with her, and that's basically how I got to know Melissa.
Well, let's talk about, because you were talking about your first scene and this early stuff. I mean, this part was basically written for you, right? Was it you created it after you read?
Well, I first read Merle's lines and was told Merle was taken. So, and I went to LA and I went for a pilot season and I read them, and then I went back to New York and they called me back in, but they told me that part was taken, but to read Merle's lines. So I was thinking like maybe he said no for some stupid reason or couldn't do it or whatever. And then I read his lines but different lines, and then about an hour later I got a call saying there's a new part and it's yours. So.
It's a cool story because Norman and I had worked together. John Carpenter directed an episode of Masters of Horror called Cigarette Burns that Norman was in. And so Darabont called me and said, hey, call Carpenter and let us know what he thought of Norman. You know, Frank always likes checking up on, what the word on the street is on the actors. And I called John and he was tremendously complimentary of Norman. And so, I mean, I was really excited that sort of, got to him partially getting the part. The first day that he was on set, I had zombie makeup on, I had the dentures and the contacts, and he gets in the van and I'm like, hey, it's good. But I had all my stuff, I'm like, what? Who is that? What?
Who is this?
So the next day I was like, hey, I was thinking. But that was a lame story, man.
John, when I did Cigarette Burns, right, I showed up at that hotel where we were going to shoot it, and Udo Kier takes me for breakfast. He goes, we're going to breakfast. We're sitting there, and there's all these old people sitting around us, and he goes, I said this line in this movie, it was so funny. And he stands up and goes, I take my gun, I shove it up your pussy, I blow your brains out. And I'm looking around, and everyone's staring at us. He thinks it's so funny, he does it louder, right? And he takes me into John's, first time I ever met John, takes me in his room, he goes, so how's the hotel? And I go, oh, it's nice. And he goes, don't watch the $9.99 porn. Go straight to the $14.99.